Hi, everyone. Thank you for visiting our YouTube channel. This is CBG, Cyprus Business Group webinar. And today we're so excited to have Marcus Dimbleby and Ellie Cloak as our guests. So welcome, guys. Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
webinar.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Let me... Perfecto. So we are CBG. I know some of you have seen us on the group. Our CEO and founder, Tom Britton. I am the CCO of CBG, Isabel. And here we have our guests, Marcus Dimbleby and Ellie Cloak. A little bit about them. This is funny because we were like, okay, let's make a joke. Because today we're going to talk about AI. So ChatGPT says that they are a professional training and coaching firm that specialize in helping organizations and navigate complexity and drive meaningful change through people-first strategies. So I'm really interested to hear a little bit. We are all interested to know a little bit about yourselves and all about effective direction. Before we dive in, we wanted just to all the people that are viewing this video, a little bit of who is CBG. We are a business event ecosystem. Our pillars, we have 4 pillars: people, brand, spaces, and of course, events. Of course, every event, what they need: people, brands, and spaces. What type of events we support? Community, conferences, workshops, and festivals. Speaking of community, we want to invite you guys to follow some of the communities that we work with, like Forest Club, Women in Tech, Red Diamond Business Club, Business Society Accelerator, Growth Hacking Cyprus, and more. Visit cbg.com.cy to check it out. And today's webinar is sponsored by Bedrock, our digital marketing agency. So we're really excited to start. At the end, I'm sure we will have some questions for the dream team. And yeah, we're all yours, guys. Marcus, I'm going to stop sharing and let you share. 1 second.
Awesome. Thank you. So there we are. And we are here today to talk about amplifying AI, artificial intelligence, not A1, as I saw some US senator calling it recently. And how do we innovate with what we call collective intelligence? And all what that means will become clear as we go through. So as already introduced, we are from Effective Direction, a boutique consultancy based in Cyprus, working globally. And my name is Marcus Dimbleby. I'm the founder. My background, long time in the military. I was based out in Cyprus many years ago with the Royal Air Force, hence why I'm back here now, loving the place, and emigrated here 2 years ago. Left in 2013, and since then been working in large corporations, doing large scale transformations, digital technological change programs. And the last 5 years, I've been working with Ellie, who'll introduce you in a moment, really looking into how people have been forgotten in the workplace and how do we bring them back to the forefront of what we do. And Ellie's our organizational psychologist, so she's the perfect lady to talk about that. Ellie, over to you.
Thanks, Marcus. Really lovely to be here. So, very similar background to Marcus. I was in the Royal Air Force for 20 plus years, left in 2016, decided to use all those real human power skills to put it into something that I could go and do to help people, because that was the really fun bit of being in the Royal Air Force. And so I stumbled across organizational psychology. As Marcus said, I've been an organizational psychologist qualified since 2018. And basically, I, help organizations, their individuals, their teams to work better in the workplace. That's it.
Thank you, Ellie. So let's just start off with some statistics out there today. 72% of Fortune 500 see human resource officers see AI replace jobs in their organization in the next 3 years. Okay, so it's quite one of those shocking statistics out there that sets people worrying. But is it really something to worry about? Let's dive in. So here's what we're going to go through today. We're going to have an introduction. We've been going through that already, looking at generative AI in the workplace, the demand for tech that we've seen evolve over the last 20 years now. What's the missing element? What is our proposed solution? And then we're going to give you some tools and techniques that you can take away and that will help you succeed in the workplace. So just a bit of an introduction of the organizations we work with. And we don't put this up to say, look at all the people we work with. It's to say, look at the variance in the size and the scale and type of business. Basically, we're called a 1980s martini, anytime, any place, anywhere, for anyone. Because if you've got people in your organization, what we're going to be talking about today is going to be impactful and useful for them. Whether it's working with the Pink Fund, six ladies in America running a breast cancer charity, to HSBC, Lloyd's Banking Group, or the US Space Force, these huge conglomerate organizations across the world. If you've got people in your business, then that's the business you're in, and that's what we're all about helping. So just a question to think about, really. What are some examples of AI that we are using in our everyday life that we probably don't even realize is AI? Ellie, what do you use? What do you think's going off in your house?
So we don't have one, but I know a lot of people have Alexa. Siri is another one. Often use it when I'm driving. Just sort of press the button on the steering wheel and go, "Hey Siri, find me a song," or whatever. Things like Netflix, when you get your interesting, sort of future recommendations, that's AI.
Yeah, right. It knows
And
you, doesn't it?
yeah, Amazon recommendations as well. Something you've put in your basket before, or a book you've put in, they'll recommend some others. So those are some examples of AI. And then obviously there's ChatGPT and things like that. What ones do you use, Marcus?
Yeah, ChatGPT is pretty prevalent for me now since that's come along. I use a few marketing tools, Opus AI, but there's lots more out there that I'm not even aware of, and we'll go through some of those there. And I think that's a problem with AI. It's come along so quickly that people probably fearful of not being able to keep up. Which
Mhm.
leads nicely to the next question. I know we won't dive into this now. If people want to jump in, they can do. But a question, what worries you about AI in the workplace? So you can jump into Menti. It's an anonymous survey tool, very powerful, very simple. You can either click on the code or scan on your phone and jump in and just answer what worries you about AI in the workplace. See here what we've got in there so far. I'll just stop share and switch across. Oh, quite a few answers. That's good. So as you can see there, I don't have the skills required to use it. I can't keep up. I'll be replaced. Security issues, some big, big concerns about security and the power. I don't have the skills. It's going to take my job. I'm going to be replaced. Working with chatbots. There's a takeover. So again, we can see while there's a variety, there's also a few common ones in there. People are fearful. And as that statistic up front said, 72% of CHROs out there are believing jobs are going to be replaced in the next 3 years. And I've seen higher than that on other data surveys. So is this the threat that we're really all concerned about? And should we be? And if it is, what can we do about it? So let's have a look. back in. Let's have a look at then the first real hot topic here, generative AI in the workplace. This is a hot topic, isn't it, Ellie?
It is very much so. Very much so. And why is it a hot topic? Well, it's a hot topic because it does all of these things really, really well. Okay. It innovates, it does things really quickly and has all the up-to-date information, grabs stuff from around the world, not just in situ, in place. And it can innovate, it can take things to the next level, think through those complex algorithms to get stuff going. If we use it, we're more efficient, okay? Because it speeds things up.
Yeah.
We don't have to sit and go, years ago, you used to have to go to a filing cabinet, pull something out, look at it, go to a library, pull out a book, pull out an encyclopedia, go and find it. We just type that into Google now, don't we? Or we just ask ChatGPT. And it improves productivity because you're able to think bigger, think wider, get loads of information, crunch it down, means you're more efficient, which means that you can produce more. Hey, that's what everybody wants, don't they?
They do indeed.
And it's across every industry and every function. You've got it in the medical world, from some places have done it through cancer diagnosis. You've got it all the way to music, streaming. You've got it for TV. We've got it absolutely everywhere in the logistics chain, in recruitment, in marketing. It is everywhere. Okay. So it's a tool that is useful regardless of place, sector, size of organization, because it delivers all of these things in those spaces.
Yeah, absolutely does, isn't it? And the speed with which, A, not only it's happening in the workplace, but B, how people are using this and the effect. And you talked about increasing productivity. It's insane the amount of time this stuff can really save you. And if you're using it well and understanding it, and that's the thing that we're going to try and get across today, is really understanding this. And you don't have to use everything. And again, is it going to bring more gain than pain? And obviously, there's concerns that there are pain points ahead. But as a capability, what do you think, Ellie? Is it?
I generally think it is. I think it is. And it's here to stay. I think that's the thing that people need to remember. This is here to stay. It ain't going away. So get on board with it.
Absolutely. And obviously, there's a law, isn't there? We've seen in the executive world, I call it the magpie effect, the shiny, shiny thing. Whatever's the latest shiny new toy, and we've seen it throughout history, the latest thing that comes along, the bandwagon effect, everybody wants them, but there is something very alluring about AI. Look at all this. Yeah. Why would you not want this? If it gives you all these things that you're seeing here, but also, if we are being seduced, we could delete AI and insert agile, insert digital, insert tech over the last 5, 10, 15 years. All of these things have come along and promised the wonderment of the Willy Wonka chocolate factory equivalent of the workplace, but have they all delivered? And if they haven't, will AI be the one that beats them and does what it actually says on the tin? Who knows? But there's a danger in all this, isn't there, Ellie?
There is. There is. You can see it now in some of the things that you do and use. I mean, for example, if you were to go onto Google and type in the world's top soccer goal scorer, it is highly likely that you will get somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo pop up. And actually, in fact, it's a woman that played, I think, for Canada, is the world leading football scorer, because soccer is seen predominantly as a male sport. So the problem with AI, and this happens again, you can Google, for example, just go onto Google and Google CEO, and you'll get a mix of pictures come up. If you type in personal assistant, it is highly likely that you will get an image of a female. Okay. So what we've got is there is bias baked into AI. That is the challenge. So if you are sifting for a job, it is highly likely, if you're sifting for a personal assistant and you have a male name appearing there, they will be sifted out of the recruitment process, even though they might be the most qualified person and the best qualified person for the job. All right. So just something to be aware of.
Brilliant. But it's happening, isn't it? As we've seen data out there, 96% of boardrooms have this as an agenda item. They're pushing the programs, they're pushing the requirement, they're pushing the demand for the latest shiny. But, and this is our big belief, AI is great, but it's just another tool. And for AI to be as effective as everyone says it can be, will be, should be, it requires CI. What's CI, Miss Cluck?
It is what we are calling collective intelligence, the thing that humans bring to the party.
Absolutely. And it's happening. All right. Look at these stats. 88% of companies are using some form of AI in HR, including recruitment. Why wouldn't they? 60% are using generative AI in the workplace. 65% of generative AI users are millennials or Gen Z. Go figure. The youngsters are getting ahead of the bow wave on this one and using the technology. And they trust it to make informed decisions. That could be one of those dangers that Ellie spoke about earlier. So by all means, use it and abuse it to your best effect, but can we trust it? And if we need to, how can we validate that? And as we said, 96% of boards are looking at this. 80% say this is a top priority in their business plan. But again, when we're focusing on a thing like AI, there are other things that we may miss out as we move forward. And that's what we're really concerned about. And as we talked about at the beginning, all these different tools out there, I came across this on LinkedIn yesterday, what I wanted to share when I knew we were doing this webinar, because this was just an eye opener to me. There's so much stuff out there, and this is just duplicating day by day. You know, the speed with which these apps, these capabilities are being created, and they're all fantastic, and they do save you time, efficiency, productivity. So check them out. We'll share this with Tom afterwards, but have a look and just see which ones work for you. Don't have to use everything, but there's something in there that's going to be a golden nugget for you, your business, your life, and it helps a lot. So, incorporating all this, there's this demand for technology. Why do we need technology, Ellie? What's this VUCA word that we hear and often use?
Indeed. So this came from the US military, and it was in the sort of after the Cold War sort of ended, and where people were just like, we're not sure. We're not sure where these threats are going to come from, what they're going to look like, because we had standing armies, we had, sort of mutually assured destruction, didn't we, when we had two nuclear superpowers. The world is now very, very different. And so we live in this world that is volatile. It is turbulent. Yeah? It is uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what action in Southeast Asia might impact Cyprus tomorrow. We have no idea. It's complex because it's multi-layered, it's multifaceted, it's multidimensional. Okay. It is not just one thing that happens. Look at how the musings of a president in the continental USA is changing daily what happens in the financial world and how people are responding to things and how organizations are having to rethink their strategy. And then on top of it, there's this ambiguity. We don't really know what it looks or feels like or smells like. We've got a vague idea, but we can't be really sure. And that causes us problems and causes us stress. And then on top of it, boom, the world is hyper-connected. Yeah. Every morning, probably since the end of January, you've woken up and you've looked at your phone when you've woken up, or you looked at the news and gone, oh, what is America doing now? Yeah. A public musing, a thought, whatever it might be, from the President of the United States gets beamed around the world in seconds, and you watch how that impacts stock markets, organizations and their strategy, rethinking. This is the world we're living in right now, and it's impacting us all each and every single day. And that is causing us all stress and worry and unease.
So this demand for tech is essential. We've seen this over the last decade. We've talked about technical and evolution, digital transformations. The technical capabilities that are out there are far more capable than the human operator. So how do we interface those into our environments? And AI is just the latest tech capability, but obviously extremely advanced. And there's a great quote here from the chief technology officer at Endava, really talking about the mindset shift that we have. And it's not how will tech replace me or how do I get tech to do my job for me? It's how do I use it to make me more effective at what I do? And it's just as I was saying earlier, I'm using Opus for my video editing. What used to take 2 days to do now takes 10 minutes. Using ChatGPT, we've got our own Chat ACT chatbot that we use. It doesn't do the work for me, but it gives me so many ideas and alternatives and options that it increases my planning speed and ability to be more effective. And that's how we really have to appreciate and understand what this tech ability can do for us. What we don't want to do is end up like these dudes, do we, Ellie? Who are they?
These are the clone army for Darth Vader. And why do we put this up here? Well, we put it up here because they're all alike, aren't they? They're an army. They are fiercely loyal, disciplined, proud, and will do anything that Darth Vader says without question. Who wouldn't want that in your organization?
I wouldn't.
Marcus?
No, I don't want that. Sounds good, doesn't it? But it's not. It's not. Because it's going to bring all those horrible things, isn't it? That technology on the platform creates that linear, this is all the same, which is great if you're building product and you need 1,000 widgets all the same. But when it comes to knowledge work, which we're now in the era of information warfare, management of all this, as you said, data that's flying around. Yes, let's use technology, but let's not have the stormtroopers obeying clone-like, drone-like each day. We have to have beyond the group thing that these capabilities bring. We have to have this human element, this collective intelligence. And again, it goes back to another quote. Instead of viewing AI as a standalone tool, employees should view it as an integral part of how work gets done. So don't offload your work to it. Just work out how you can integrate it, just like we did with calculators, just like we did with computers. Yeah, just like we did with the pencil years ago, right? How do we integrate these capabilities into what we're doing? And a lot of the things we do is go into organizations and help them do an audit of what are we doing today? What could we do tomorrow differently if we have the ability to integrate some of these technologies and AI capabilities out there? And you can save yourself 30 to 70% in efficiencies by just taking one of those simple audits and really reviewing this both in the workplace and in your home life. So we've touched on this already. What's the missing element, Ellie?
It's this thing called humans. It's this thing called humans. But it's more important than that. It's this thing that humans do so well, which is called thinking. And it's the stuff that we do really, really well, which is the creative and imaginative thinking.
Absolutely. So this workforce of yours, your people, don't think about replacing them with AI, right? Please don't do that. Please don't think this is your HR winning moment of the year that you can cull X number of your headcount and replace them all with AI, with bots. What you need to do is be selling the efficiencies by augmenting your awesome people with the ability to use AI. Augment, don't replace, please. And if you're not going to believe me and Ellie, right? Because we do tend to make stuff up sometimes, especially when we've had a few margaritas. We've got a lot of data and we search a lot of the reports around the world from Gallup, from the World Economic Forum. Ellie, what's this one about?
So this one, whilst it was done in 2023, it was projecting forward and said in 2027, so in 2 years' time, these are the skills that businesses are going to need. And as you can see, numbers 1 and 2 are analytical and creative thinking. which is what we call applied critical thinking. And then you start to look again. And so we just talked about tech, didn't we? And AI and everything. But the World Economic Forum is saying that they are not the most in-demand skills that are needed. They're at number 3 and number 7. Numbers 1 and 2 are things that only humans can do right now.
Well, that's interesting. There's some missing skills, aren't there?
There are. There are. And these are the ones that came out of a report by a large consultancy. And these are the things that C-suite leaders are saying are missing when they're going to find new recruits, and what they're seeing and missing in their organizations. The ability to problem solve. And as Marcus just pointed out, let's use AI to augment and enhance our ability to problem solve, not replace us. AI can help us innovate. It can help us communicate really nicely, really quickly. And through using AI, what we can start to do is we can start to understand problems and understand the complexity and the nature of it all and where it all intertwines a little bit better, because it's able to dissect that information into palatable chunks for us, into things that we can understand. But the things that AI can't do is really the things that humans can do really well, which is apply that critical thinking element and be really creative.
Yeah.
Okay?
What we call these are soft skills, is the term in the business. Awful phrase. People skills. Okay, so what we tend to do, 85% of learning and development and training goes on to hard skills, technical training. Only 15% gets spent on soft skills, people skills. Because again, when you look at these skills on here, people tend to think, well, I've got people working for me. These are all default human skills that they should have anyway, but they don't. A bunch of kids in the playground have got all these skills, but throughout the process of the system that we go through from school to university to work, you get put onto what I call the conformity conveyor belt. That all of these naturalistic human skills kind of get beaten out of you. The system doesn't want that. They don't want you thinking. They don't want you challenging. They want you to get in line and do as you're told. So now we actually need that resurrecting and coming back to the forefront so you can use AI effectively with these people skills in parallel. And if you do that right, there's a great example here that Ellie's worked with previously. HSBC was one of our clients. They've implemented an AI system. Great. Did they put loads of people out of work? Did people lose their jobs? No. They brought AI in alongside. So think about the fraud that's going on. One of the biggest threats to any organization in the world now, especially banking, fraud detection. But having AI working alongside, looking at the money laundering, going through all those massive numbers of digits going through each day, billions of transactions is what AI can process. I can probably do 4 a day. These are doing billions each day, flagging up these things and reducing the false positives that you do by human eye by 20%. That's a massive saving when you're dealing with billions of numbers, right? Then once it's been flagged, the human can come in. And as Ellie talked about earlier, you bring that human contextual judgment. A machine can't do that. And I don't think they're going to do that for a long, long time. So when the things get flagged, the human can look at them and go, yeah, no, that's okay, let it through. That's definitely concern. Let's do further analysis. Okay. And this allows the bank to be way more efficient, way more productive. And also, you're not having burnout of your analysts. So again, you're not replacing people. You're actually making your people better because they're not wasting time on doing something that the robot, the tech, can do super effective. And therefore, you allow your human to become even more creative. Yeah, more judgmental in the areas they need to be. So that's a great example of how we do that. So let's dive in now to what this proposed solution could look like. And I love this slide and I love the build that Ellie did about it. So I'm going to let her talk to Mr. Tim Berners-Lee.
Yeah, Tim Berners-Lee, the innovator, I suppose he is, wasn't he? World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Amazing man. He thought it up and he thought this would be amazing. So is that the first sort of foray into AI? It probably was, actually. And what he said here is we need diversity of thought in the world to face new challenges. So building the World Wide Web, we'll be able to get lots of input. People would come in and be able to help solve these challenges that are going to come up, these new challenges we've not come across before. Well, that's fine. Diversity of thought is fine. But what you've actually got to do is you've got to be able to hear those thoughts. People have got to be able to speak their ideas. So actually what we need is we need to hear those voices around the world. And that is the biggest challenge that we've got. People being silenced, people not being heard, especially in the workplace, due to a variety of reasons, which is a whole nother webinar that we can do for you. But how do we get diversity of voices in the workplace to help us build our collective intelligence, to help us augment what we do and become better, more productive, more efficient with AI?
Absolutely. And our answer to that is applied critical thinking. ACT, we call it. And as Ellie mentioned, this is analytical and creative thinking under one umbrella. And from this technological perspective, if you do that, you get these systemic procedures for early identification and fast response. Again, it's free thinking, but it's in a systemic way of using our brain, which we don't do by default. It allows us to articulate the emotion and the business context. So we're bringing this human element back in again. Also, which many robots don't have, has ethical understanding and can bring in the reputational concerns. Okay. So again, working with AI allows you to do this using your own brain. It can give us the best outcomes for the organization. It allows us to anticipate, to get ahead, to look to the future, and not only avoid the threats, which most people don't grow because they're so busy focusing on the threat that they miss the opportunities floating by. And that's where organizations get ahead because they see that golden nugget and they strike and take it. And from a people perspective, it gives them resilience because it allows them to think in many different facets and understand the opportunities that lie ahead and the different capabilities they have to deal with it. It allows you to incorporate redundancy into both your people and your organization. And that word agile we mentioned earlier, truly what we're looking for, agile, is adaptability. Are we able to be adaptive, flexible, and in this VUCA world that Ellie talked about, can we move around quickly rather than going into stasis and paralysis when something happens? And we see that often in organizations, something happens and they just go into freeze. They don't know how to respond quickly. So they just go into freeze mode and bad things happen. So what is ACT? As we mentioned, it's this deliberate process. Okay, so you physically have to engage your brain to do this, to allow you to analyze and evaluate. So gather information, take in data, do some analysis of that information, then evaluate what it's telling you. And that way we can increase situational awareness, self-awareness, improve our understanding to allow us then to make a better decision. In a nutshell, ACT allows you to make better decisions. That's it. And it does it quickly, it does it effectively, does it efficiently, just as what we're talking about AI. And if you combine the two, you've got a winning hand. And what do we get with it, Ellie?
We get all these things that you can see here. You will think and behave differently. Everybody in your organization will do that. You'll be able to take all the volatility and the uncertainty and the complexity, and you'll be able to work your way through it. You'll be able to just go, hey, this is fine. I can get through this using ACT. You will be able to make better decisions faster, as Marcus said. You will be able to do big things fast, which is what every organization wants. You will unlock your human capital and you will absolutely achieve a cultural evolution within your organization. Okay.
That's all what it does. Okay. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? So let's show you some tools and techniques now. We've got a whole suite of these, but we're just going to show you 4 today that are going to allow you to do this. And if the only thing you ever do and take away, it's think, write, share. And Ellie's going to explain why this is such a wonderful, simple, but extremely effective tool.
Indeed. So in many organizations, well, in fact, all organisations, I'd posit, Marcus, and you'd probably agree with me, that the answers to your problems are held within the people that work in that organisation, 100%. And the problem is we sometimes don't get those answers out. And why don't we? Because people are fearful to share it. They might get laughed at. Their idea might be turned down because of they're the new kid in the office, or they've been there a long time, or they're the one that says we've always seen it. So using Think, Write, Share, what you're able to do is you're able to hear all those thoughts. They're able to come to the fore, and you're able to see a different perspective on potentially a challenge or an issue you've got in your organisation. You, as the leader, don't have to sit there and come up with all the answers. And why is this a really useful tool? Because it does all these things it says here. It provides anonymity. We'll show you a way to do it. But people can put their true feelings, thoughts, ideas down on a paper without fear of being judged. Okay? That is really important. And why does it do this? Because this tool, if you do it in the right way, artificially creates psychological safety, where you can say what you think and you can show up and say and do what you think without fear of judgment or ridicule. Hugely important. As we said, everybody gets heard. Your introverts are able to speak their answer, get their answer out there, and your extroverts provide their best answer, not always their first answer. By going through the steps on this tool, you promote this thing called active listening. How many times do we throw something out there and you just react, you respond, you listen to answer, you don't actually listen to learn, to get a better, deeper understanding of the problem? What this tool does, it allows you to see multiple perspectives of what the problem is, different viewpoints. Everybody's engaged because everybody takes part and contributes. Engagement is hugely, hugely important. And as we said, it prevents you saying, well, I'm not going to take that answer because you're new. I'm not going to take that answer because you're young. I'm not going to take that answer because you've been here forever and you don't want to do this work. Okay? It stops you being biased and you go for the best answer for the organisation, not who said it and why he said it.
Thanks, Ellie. And again, we make no apologies for how simple this is. That's the beauty of all of these tools. They are so simple to learn, to incorporate. You'll be using this tomorrow in your meetings, at home, out walking the dog, dead easy. So the first step is think. Clues in the name. We think about the question that's posed to us. So if you're using this tool, you're going to walk into your team and go, right, everybody, nobody say anything. I'm going to ask you all a question and then I want you to think. And I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock while you engage your brain and think about the question. Because remember in school, when the teacher's writing something on the board or they ask a question, people jump up, put their hands up, shout out. People don't therefore get to use their brain. So just time on the clock, pose the question and tell everybody to think. And that will actually allow their brain, as Ellie said, your first answer will leap to your forefront, but you'll be able to then engage what's called system two thinking, which is more logical, rational, and slower to come up with other potential thoughts and ideas and solutions. Time's up, 60 seconds. I'd like you all now to write down your answer. Okay, so now, while you're writing down, that fires different neurons in your brain and allows you to be even more concise in capturing what your thoughts and answers were. You've written it down. Now you've written it down, when we get to the next step of sharing, Ellie mentioned active listening. Again, go back to school. When the teacher asked you a question and she picks Ellie while Ellie's answering, are you listening to Ellie? No, you're sat there thinking, what are you going to say when she asks you next? Where now you've written it down. So you can just forget that and you can listen to what Ellie says. And you can listen to the other 10 people around the room. So now we're starting to form opinions, views, right? And the anonymity piece, we can do this in Menti. Using tech, we can do it on Mural. So there's numerous digital platforms out there. But if you're in a classroom, if you're in an office, give everybody the same color post-it note, everybody the same pen, ask them all to write in bold capital letters, take all them in, share them, shuffle them, pass them all back out again, or put them on the wall. Nobody knows who wrote what. Okay, so super easy. So when you share, I could be sharing Tom's written answer. I could be sharing Susan's written answer. I could be sharing my own. It could have come back to me. Nobody knows So all of those things that Ellie mentioned, the biases, etc., and the anonymity, the fear, you've got everything squared away. So now we've got a group of 10 of us have shared 10 different answers, and it might be that the one golden nugget answer is there, but it might not be. It might be that 10 of us now come together and collectively form a hybrid solution from all of the great answers that we came out with, and we can now create a good variation from what everybody brought to the party, rather than one or two people coming up with the ideas and overriding all the time. So think, write, share. Very simple, very powerful, game changing. And also allows you to ask, what's this question, Ellie? Why?
So we like to ask things called spicy questions, and we've named the spicy questions because when you eat something spicy, you will get a physical reaction, a physiological reaction. You'll start to heat up. You're sort of like, you'll get some color in your cheeks. And the reason that we've named these spicy questions, these are the questions that need to be answered in every organization. But if you ask them, you're going to get a highly emotional response from people, whether that's people shouting, whether that's people collapsing in on themselves, going, oh, no, this is horrible. But these are the questions that if you get the answers to, you will leap ahead and you will overcome a stack of problems you've got in your organization, a stack of problems. Okay. So a spicy question is stuff that will sort of bring the emotions up in people.
Yeah.
And one such example, as we've got here, could be something like this. Yeah. What are the challenges to engagement in your organization? And you might get answers like, the boss never allows me to speak. I just get shut down every time I think of doing something. Engagement, what a laugh. What's that? They don't understand the meaning of the word. You will get all this honesty if you use think, write, share. And then you can start to tackle the problems correctly and prevent them bubbling up again in the future.
Great what you can do tomorrow with your team. Get your team around a coffee and go, right, what's one question that you'd love to ask, but you daren't? And they're going to look at you and go, well, that's a sort of rhetorical question, is it? I'm not going to tell you because I daren't ask you it. And you go, exactly. Now I'm going to show you a tool called Think, Write, Share, and I want you to write down what your spicy question is. So that alone will allow you to get a whole suite of spicy questions that you know are concerns to your team. And then you can use that tool again, and tools we're going to show you now, to answer the question and to surface from the wisdom of the crowd potential solutions. And nobody knows who asked it. Super simple, super powerful, super spicy. And then when you've got all those answers, right, you might have 10 potential solutions. I'd ask you then to dot vote. Now, you probably might have done this before, but you've got 10. So imagine this now. You're in the room and there's 10 post-its on the board, and I give you a pen and go, right, go up there, put the dot on the one that you think is the most important to you. So Ellie goes up and sticks it on post-it number 1. And Tom's thinking, well, I'm thinking number 3 is my thing. But Tom goes up and his hand goes towards number 3, but then it moves across and dots 1 because he knows everyone's looking. And the poor person who goes for number 10, they're going to go up and see one post-it with lots of dots on it, even though they don't agree. All right, that's the bias, that's human nature and following the crowd, not the wisdom of the crowd. Weighted anonymous feedback, clues in the name, it's weighted. You get more than one vote. So if there's 6 items, we halve it and plus 1. So you've now got 4 votes, so you can spread bets. Okay, and it's anonymous using tools that we can share afterwards. You can do it digitally, or if you're doing it in the room, just take your own post-it, grid it into 6 boxes, and just put your little tick gate in each one that you think, hand that in, and then you can tally them up, and then you get a weighted anonymous feedback of the group's perspective on what they would vote for. So again, simple, powerful, highly effective. Everybody's heard. Nobody knows who said what. You can share that afterwards if you wish to reveal. But if not, you get quality solutions and everybody's now feeling that they've been heard and engaged. It's too simple. But with this, we don't always go with what scores the most. Why do we not do that, Ali?
Because sometimes that thing that has no votes or just one vote is the elephant in the room. And if you start unpacking that particular problem, all the other ones that you've got above it will disappear off. So we always make sure we look at what we call the minority pot. That's that item that's got one or low votes, just to make sure that you're not missing something or avoiding something, actively avoiding something.
That happens sometimes as well, doesn't it?
Mm.
Great. So you've now got your list of ideas. You've now got the one thing that you're going to take away and put some effort into. Right, we've got a problem in the team. What do we do as humans? We leap to the solution, don't we? Go, great, here's the problem. Right, we're going to go and do this tomorrow. Dead easy. We don't do that. We stop and go, so what? Yes, that's a problem. Before we dive into the solution, we ask, so what? And we do that again with 4 simple questions. I make no apologies for what I call facepalm coaching at this point. It's so easy, isn't it? First, why is this problem happening? Why is it manifesting? Why is it occurring? Right? Get to the detailed understanding of why this is happening. Okay, and there's a reason why we do this. Use think, write, share while you do this. So if your team of 10, you get 10 answers of why it's happening. Because I might have my couple of ideas, but when I see the wisdom of the crowd, I'm like, wow, there's numerous reasons why this could be happening. Okay. Now, what's the potential impact if this problem continues? Is it the one that Ellie raised and it's just upsetting Ellie because she doesn't like it? Or is it impacting the whole team, the productivity, the ROI of the business? Okay, what's the scale of the impact of this thing? Now, understanding the why and the what, now we can jump into looking at solutions. So now you understand why and what. The depth of your understanding of how you can fix it will be much, much deeper. And you'll come up with many things that we can do. But if I'm the CEO, if I'm the boss, I don't want you coming to give me 25 solutions of how I can fix this problem, right? What we then do, use dot voting. Of these 15 things that we could do, which are going to be the most impactful? Which are the least expensive? Which could we do by Monday? And start to prioritize them in order of capability, of ability to fix. And from there, we therefore make a focused recommendation. And we did this with a client. I wrote the book Big Things Fast with a friend of mine, Jose, who was a client at Kimberly-Clark. We spent 4 days doing strategic analysis on a major strategy that they had with 8 people from their teams and 2 of us. And they briefed 4 bullets to the CEO in order of 1 through 4, right? So we literally had an Einstein's lab worth of work, of investigation, of analysis, proper deep dive, analytical, creative thinking, and we gave the CEO 4 simple bullets. And if you only did 1, you do number 1. So that's what we call about a focused recommendation, but using these tools and techniques, we had a narrative. We explained to her why these problems were manifesting. We explained what the impact was if we don't take action. We prioritized them in the action we needed to focus on them. And then we gave her absolutely clear, powerful recommendations. And funny old thing, she signed off and allowed the team to go and put them into effect. Very, very simple, but extremely powerful. So that's when we've got a problem. That's when we know there's something manifesting and we need to take care of it. As always, use these other tools and start to blend them together, dot voting, weighted anonymous feedback, and think, write, share. Final tool we're going to share with you quickly is alternative futures analysis. Sometimes we think all's well. Then all of a sudden, a wrecking ball comes in from left field and your company is out of business because you weren't looking. And in a VUCA world, the likelihood of that happening is very, very high. It's not a matter of if we hit the iceberg, it's a matter of when and how big. So for this tool, it allows you to remain preemptive and proactive, right? Not reactive. Meet loads of clients who go, Marcus, we're great at putting out fires. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not in a fire station, am I? You shouldn't be doing that, Bob. You should be doing your job. But they're running around putting out fires because they're reactive rather than preempting the problems. It allows you to see 4 different futures that may unfold. Wow. Doing that allows you to prepare for likely outcomes so you are prepared. You are resilient. Remember, we talked about resilience and redundancy and adaptive earlier. This is what it allows you to do. And therefore, you drive your business towards one of those futures that you want or a hybrid future that you create because that is possible to do. How do we do this, Ellie?
Really simple. It looks complicated. Don't worry. Really simple. It's a little quad graph and you have two axes. Okay. That's all you do. And you pick factors that are going to impact what you do in your organization. So we pick the two factors. Here we're going to do, for example, because we're talking about AI, we're going to take on some new technology. We're going to take on some AI tool that's going to help us. And so what we're going to do is we're either going to have really quick adoption, we're going to roll it out straight away, we're going to buy it, we're just going to roll it out everywhere, or we're going to do it sort of slowly, carefully, and very well managed. Okay. And across the other axis, and we're doing this because we think there is high customer demand for this new tech, or there's low customer demand. Okay. So now you have four futures, four scenarios that you can go into. And in the box, so we look in top right here, we've got rapid technical adoption and we've got high customer demand for this. So what you do is you start to create your future. What would we look like in this space? What would be happening? What would we need for it to happen? Okay. And then you move round the grid. High customer demand, low tech adoption. You look at the good points, you look at the bad points. Okay. And you work all your way around. The really interesting thing you can do once you've created these alternative futures and what it could look like is you could then look at yourselves as you are right now and say, where are we right now? What do we need to get ourselves to the future that we want? And funny old thing, the future that you think you want, which everybody goes is always top right, is actually very often the one you do not want when you've had a chance to explore what could unfold in the future.
Brilliant. When you do that, you bring clarity. We talk about the 6 C's more another day, but the first C is clarity. And that's what people need in a VUCA world because the guy in the picture here, that's tending to be what most people are looking into on a daily basis. Gives you that foresight. We can look ahead. It's the closest thing you're going to get to having a crystal ball. There's no such thing as unknown unknowns. If those who remember Donald Rumsfeld talking about this tongue twist that he came out with, but the unknown unknowns that are out there, this allows you to surface and identify. And in doing that, it's going to give you confidence. And if you've got confidence, your people will operate more effectively and move forward at pace. And it allows you to embrace technology. We can see where we need the technology. We can use technology to accelerate where we need to. And it allows us to look into the future and drive our business to where we want it to go. So that was just 4 simple tools. There's about 50 of them. There's some core ones here that we use, all super effective. They fall into 3 buckets of creativity. So analytical to start with. So going into the data, finding an information, getting all the right knowledge that you need. Then it goes creative. AFA is one creative tool, looking to the future, planning for what if, thinking outside the box. What if it fails? What if it succeeds? What if a competitor comes in? We do all of that and then we create the plan. And then we go into challenge mode, the devil's advocate, bringing in deep challenge, the thinking, the planning. So when your plan does roll out, it's already had impact with the enemy, with the competitor, with the customer, because you've played that role. So it's going to go out far more capable, far more likely to succeed. And all of these we learn and teach them within 2 to 3 hours. And then you can start using them very quickly. And once you start incorporating this into your muscle memory, into your day-to-day routine with AI, then you're getting that true impact for your business and moving at the pace you need to do into the future. So that's it. We'll leave you with a word from the wise. Mr. Branson himself, one of the greatest critical thinkers, innovators, entrepreneurs on the planet. Learn to use your brain power. All right. We do not use the brain power that we have available to us by default. The brain's lazy. Rather drink margaritas than be engaged. You have to engage it. These tools allow you to do that. Critical thinking is the key to creative problem solving in business. Not AI, not tech, critical thinking, which will allow you to use those things better. So fuse the two together. Don't dismiss one or the other, depending how you've been lured in. But please think of the two of these things fused together and how they can be so much more effective if you do that in the right way. So go forth, unleash your people. There's a new chap in the bottom left corner there because these are now part of your team. This is true diversity of thought and the way we need to move forward to stay alive and thriving in this VUCA world. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That was me and Ellie. Any questions?
Guys, that was awesome. Like I've just been taking notes like crazy. I can't wait to share this. Thank you. I can speak for everyone safely, I think. That was really, really awesome. So insightful. I know I've got a question. I wrote it down early on because it's one that I heard about recently. So if it's okay, I'm going to kick off with this one. I mean, I heard a theory recently because so many professionals nowadays, myself included, are relying on ChatGPT for, some of the things we do, like emails. It was a really interesting theory that there is, professionals are beginning to lose confidence in their own abilities to do even some of the simple tasks like emails. It's like we're outsourcing confidence in a way. I'm just curious, what do you guys think about that? Like, are we in a danger of it tipping? I didn't have a chance to write it down on that question bit, but yeah, do you think there's a danger of us tipping the too far into it all?
Ellie, I've got a thought. Have you got one?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So I saw something the other day about how we are, I think I wrote an article on it as well, how we are dumbing down. It was an article, it's about school, and it's like teachers are venting and frustrated that this AI capability is dumbing down the kids
Mm.
because the kids are going home using AI to do the essays, and the teachers are wasting more time trying to identify what was written by AI than actually the quality. And I wrote, you're not thinking critically about this. Don't look at this as it's dumbing down the kids. Set the task that, hey, everybody, you're going to go home tonight and write your essay, and I want you to use ChatGPT. First off, you're now a legend teacher. The kids are going to love you, right? Go home, write it, read it, bring it in tomorrow, and then tomorrow we're going to do analysis. We're going to apply critical thinking to the essay that you helped create with ChatGPT. So we're going to go through it as a group. We're going to understand and take it apart. We're going to do that analysis. Then we're going to get creative. Where can we make it better? And then you're going to go back and update the prompt to create a better outcome. So if you do that, not only are you teaching the kid how to write a better essay, but you're bringing in the one thing that is absolutely missing in education is critical thinking. So you're not dumbing them down, you're actually making them A, smarter, and B, more effective in the workplace that you're preparing them for, because they're now going to be using these tools in the right way rather than a quick, do the essay, I'm off to play. Because when you do this with them, the engagement levels from children will be rising rather than declining because they're going to find it interesting. Because the heavy lifting, mentally wise, has been done, but the fun then is in the investigation, is in going over what's been said and why and how could I make it? How could I be better than my AI? And I think for me, that's a really effective way. And I did it today, Tom. I'm problematic in that I write too much. So you've got your numbers you can use in a LinkedIn post. So I write a post. I did one today, posted it into LinkedIn, and I was I was 1,300 characters over. Right, that's a lot. So I just stuck it into ChatGPT. I said, keep this as is, but reduce it to this number of characters, and it did it all for me because I don't have time. I can write 2,000 words quickly, but as anybody says, it takes me a week to write a very short letter. We can elaborate all day long, but getting something concise. So I've not done myself down. I've still captured everything. I've just used it effectively to make me more productive. So that's my perspective on the efficiencies of doing it right.
I like that. That's unique. I appreciate that. That makes total sense to me. Awesome. Has anyone else got any other questions? Oh, we got Izzy raised her hand. Hands up.
I've got a question, Dance.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you so much. It's amazing. You guys are definitely an amazing team. Thank you for all of it. What I'm thinking is, do you think this critical thinking is a skill that anybody can learn easily and adapt it, or you need to have a special mindset or, a type of personality that says, okay, yeah, I'm open to this, or anybody can do it?
Ellie's smiling. Go on.
Anybody can do it because you do it naturally. You do it naturally. If I came across to you, Easter, and said, we're doing this, you'd go, why? If I said to you, pack a bag, we're going on holiday, the first things you'd ask me would be, where are we going? What are we going to do? How are we going? You would naturally challenge me. You would want to know stuff. You would start to think critically. You would then go, oh, okay, if I said to you, we're going somewhere warm, you'd be like, oh, I'll go and pack some clothes here, but I might take a jumper just in case it turns a bit chilly. You do all these things naturally, okay? And you do it in your personal life, and everybody does that deliberate analysis, that deliberate disruption. Why should I just follow along? At least I'm to go along. I need some information before I can make a decision, before I can make that judgment, before I can really truly assist, help, move something forward. I'm not comfortable with this. So you do it naturally in your personal life where you are involved in something. So why shouldn't we do that in the workplace? And the reason we don't do it in the workplace is because the environment's not there. But absolutely everybody thinks critically, just do it in different ways. So some people will be, thinking crazy thoughts to some people. Other people will be like, no, we need some data. We need some data. Where does it say we need to do that? Or why is that the right idea? So you'll start to see people's preferences. So some people want data before they'll move forward, so they'll look to challenge it. Some people, you throw something out there and they're sort of, and you sit there and you go, wow, that's amazing. And then you've got other people that constantly go, well, why is that a thing? I don't understand it. Why is that a thing? So there are tools and techniques that will suit your type of thinking, your preference for thinking, and your style of thinking. But it doesn't mean you can't do all of them, and you are a natural critical thinker.
And what I love about this, as I mentioned earlier, we're all born this way. We've all done this, but it gets then beaten out of you as you go through your life. And what I love when we do this, and obviously anybody who gets brought into a company, people will look at you with, what are Ellie and Marcus here to do? And they're all sat there with arms crossed, going, "Oh yeah, we don't believe this mumbo jumbo stuff." But then as you just show them think, right, share, and do one session, and you start to see their eyes light up. And I call it the Terminator red eye. You know, when the Terminator's dying and then his eye fires up again. You see that in people, and it's like fire in their belly, and they're like, well, I can start challenging. I can start questioning. I can start thinking with my colleagues and coming up with like, I've got so many ideas, Marcus. I've been trying to share this for the last year, but no one's listening. Okay, now you can. Here's how you can do it. Here's how you can disagree agreeably. Here's how you can be a collegial contrarian with your teammates. And they're like, wow. And then it just becomes default. They're using these tools all the time. We've got one client who's got it on the wall, think, right, share in the meetings. So if everything gets out of control, they go, shall we just revert back to using the tool and technique again? Calms everybody down, gives a level playing field, but it engages people. Most people are what we call sheep-like passivity in the workplace, just following the herd, disengaged. 23% engagement in the workplace globally. Slap yourselves, Europe, 13%, the lowest across the 10 global regions. That means in Europe, 87% of people are disengaged. You introduce applied critical thinking, you will increase that by a minimum of 50%. Increased engagement equals increased ROI. Think about that from a business perspective. Great question, Lisa. Any more?
Hi, hello. I am Erica.
Hello.
And first of all, I just want to say that it was a great presentation. And I'm all about critical thinking and creative thinking also. And I currently have an online course for students that want to be entrepreneurs, and like have a lot of actually tools to teach them how to think critically and creatively so they can make decisions correctly. So at first, before, because it began before ChatGPT actually like exploded, I had to make them think. And well, yeah, not everyone likes to think, first of all. And second of all, it's a hard thing to do. So I began telling them, like, just for the question of like 5 whys, like the exercise, like use 5 whys to get to the root problem. Oh my God, the hardest thing for people to do is ask 5 whys and take a solution in. So I said, like, okay, use ChatGPT and like do use this prompt, but then think for yourself if that actually makes sense, because ChatGPT like doesn't work that well with that 5 whys. And then there's this other one, like, oh, brainstorm like ideas, like get your root problem and think of like different ideas that you could solve that problem. And I was like, okay, then I did a prompt for that so people could think. So like always like prompting them so it makes them their life easier. And one thing that really scares me is like, where is the creativity going to go if ChatGPT is giving them all the answers? Like, okay, this is not like I tell them, this is not school. You could use the answer of ChatGPT if that's perfect. But then where does your authenticity go? Like, where does that leave your brain? And where do we stand by that? Like, okay, write the essay. Like the example that you said right now. Write the essay and then we'll think about it critically. But before that, I believe there has to be a point where people think about how they would solve, like how they would do it. And this is actually a concern. Where do we lie here? Where do we lie here in school, in life, with people? Where will the creativity go in solving
Yeah,
issues?
great point. And I have the concerns that you do as well. And one of the things we do is don't allow it. And what you'll find is that the joy of using these tools and techniques as a group, people won't want to be interested in using ChatGPT. And what we've seen before is, well, you'll get the group, so you get the wisdom of the crowd, you get the creativity, you get the ideas, and then we'll introduce. So if you've got a table of 10 and you have nine
Yeah,
people, ChatGPT becomes a person at the table. So you
yeah,
just give ChatGPT an option to play an individual. So it's not ChatGPT's running the show and we're all going what it says. It gives
yeah.
one answer of 10.
Makes
Or,
sense.
and when we've done the devil's advocacy, and I'll tell you this, 9 out of 10 times, ChatGPT doesn't come up with anything different than the wisdom of the crowd.
Yeah,
Very, very rarely, if you're using these tools properly and the people have been enabled to unlock their brains and allowed to do that, they won't want to use ChatGPT. Like I say, I don't use ChatGPT when I'm writing my posts or my articles. I use it to refine and shorten if I need to do, but the content, the thinking, that's what I want because otherwise it's not me. It's not authentic and it
yeah,
never comes across. I remember I once copied and pasted some reel I'd seen, the content of it 2 years ago, and I posted it and I got hammered. Everyone just came out and said, dude, that's not like you. What are you trying to do? I was like, okay, well, I didn't realize that my thing was coming across so well in my post. So it completely looked like a red herring to everybody. So I never did it again. And I think
yeah,
these tools allow people, kids, adults, workers will want to do this. And when you see how quickly you can do it, there's nothing better.
yeah,
And then the fun bit is now bring GPT in. What would that have done?
yeah.
And how good do you feel when you beat the computer or the computer didn't come up with anything better than you as a team did? And that's the power of the group rather than just relying on some robot.
Yeah, I like that focus. I think, yeah, I always like push them to first think for themselves, but it's good to be like, it's like your teammate, it's like someone that's just there. Also, like the devil advocacy. I like that
Yeah,
approach.
reliant. It's like a calculator, isn't it? Teachers, right, calculators away. We're going to do the maths on the board.
Yeah,
So all you're doing, and therefore you're removing the technology, and you're relying on your persons around you, the people. So,
Yeah.
right, I'm now in the room. I've got to think hard, but I've got Ellie, I've got Erica, I've got Tom around the table. I'm happy. I've got great brains who are all different to me, who are going to come up with something I don't know. And that's the whole point of the wisdom of the crowd is that there's a great quote from Thomas Schelling. It's like, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how educated you are, how knowledgeable you are, there are certain things that will never occur to you, but it'll
Oh,
straight away be in Ellie's head. You could put $1 million in front of me and a gun to my head and go, Marcus, what's the answer? Shoot me now. I've no idea. Because if it's not there, it's not there.
yeah.
If I used a load of great people and all these tools, I can extricate that idea from thinking, or it might just pop into Tom's head straight away. And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of all of this capability we've got that we've not unleashed. As you said earlier, the brain doesn't like to do this. The brain is lazy. It doesn't like to think. So if you can unlock 10 brains in parallel, overlapping, challenging, thinking, flowing with each other, and once you get teams into flow, we've got a great tool that really analyzes individuals so they know where their maximum flow is.
Yeah.
You get that group in that maximum peak flow, then you'll blow the socks off ChatGPT without even thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. I got like to the other like I began thinking other stuff also like the synthesis part like I just like I'm really concerned on like okay then also after you do the analysis then ChatGPT helps you to synthesize. So who are the people that you are actually hiring now? People that don't know how to synthesize, don't know how to analyze, they just use apps for everything and then at the end it's just I am literally worried.
Yeah. And that's why we did this presentation today. It's really
Yes.
these
Yeah.
CHROs, these recruiters out there, you have to recruit people and enable them and upskill them. So we're going to organizations training people how to think so they can use the technology as effectively as the technology is if you use it well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's no different. Garbage in, garbage out, isn't it? You know, so
Yes. And
you've got
then
to realize that your people are your ultimate unlocking capability in any organization, always.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, the hiring is gonna be really hard because now you have over Google. Well, Google doesn't do that, but a lot of enterprises give you like these business cases that you have to solve, and then everything that doesn't matter anymore. Just use ChatGPT; it solves everything. Then you're presenting, you're saying whatever another person actually ChatGPT said, and at the end, when that person is one on one and you're asking them actual questions without ChatGPT in the cell phone,
Exactly.
you're not gonna be able to answer back.
Yeah.
It's just gonna
How
be
how
like
would you answer this
rubbish.
question? Kids will go, well, I'll go and get ChatGPT. The better answer is I'll go and get five of my colleagues and we'll run this through two thinking tools and I'll give
Yeah.
you an answer that will blow your socks off. And they're like, okay, that's the person I want to hire. That's the person who's going to stand out in that picture where the guy sat with the robots next to him. You know, you're going to go in there and give that innovative answer that a recruiter, an employee is going to go, wow, this is what I
Yeah.
need working for me. So for me, this is something that's going to allow people to stand out really quickly.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm not gonna
Our pleasure.
spill.
Thank you.
It's pretty late, but thank you. I really love the presentation.
Our pleasure. Really good. Thank you, everybody.
I've not got any more questions. I think the presentation was too perfect. It left me with nothing to ask. It was thorough. But no,
Thank
that was
you.
awesome. And it really is so awesome to see other attendees interact like that as well. So thanks for that, Erica, too. It was really cool. Guys, thank you so much for making the time. The presentation was epic. Isa, awesome introduction. Thank you for taking care of that as well. And yeah, for sure, looking forward to the next one. I think Isa is going to be picking out the next expert in one of the weekly updates at some point, possibly in the next one, maybe in the next one, maybe in one after that. But Marcus, Ellie, thank you so much. All right. And
Thank you
I'm
so much
sure
for everything.
we're going to
Pleasure.
be releasing this soon on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we can all look forward to that as well.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
All right.
everyone.
Take
Take
care.
care, everyone. Bye bye.
Cheers.